बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। नूर मौलाना शाह करीमुल हुसैनी हाज़िर इमाम। या मौला मेहरबान, या मुश्किल कुशा मेहरबान मौला, मदद फरमा, मदद फरमा। रब्बना ज़लमना अनफुसना व इल्लम तग़फ़िर लना व तरहमना लनकूनना मिनल ख़ासिरीन। रब्बना ज़लमना अनफुसना व इल्लम तग़फ़िर लना व तरहमना लनकूनना मिनल ख़ासिरीन। रब्बना ज़लमना अनफुसना व इल्लम तग़फ़िर लना व तरहमना लनकूनना मिनल ख़ासिरीन। रब्बना ज़लमना अनफुसना व इल्लम तग़फ़िर लना व तरहमना लनकूनना मिनल ख़ासिरीन। रब्बना ज़लमना व अनफुसना व इल्लम तग़फ़िर लना लनकूनना मिनल ख़ासिरीन। या मौला, या मौला, please Mawla, help us Mawla. This beautiful prayer is in Surah Araf, number 7, verse 23. They said, Our Lord, we have wronged ourselves. And if you do not forgive us and have mercy upon us, we will surely be among the losers. Rabbana zalamna anfusana وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكوننا من الخاسرين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكوننا من الخاسرين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكوننا من الخاسرين. Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. Ya Khudawin, you are our helper, Mawla. You are our guide, Mawla. We are truly cruel to our souls, Mawla. When we, Ya Mawla, do not become Farman Bardar, Mawla. Ya Mawla, we are reading these Faramins to help us review these Farmans, to learn from this Farman, to understand this guidance, Mawla, so we can walk on the path and we do not do wrong to ourselves, our souls, Mawla. Ya Mawla Meherban, Madad Farma, Madad Farma, Madad Farma. Ya Ali Madad to all friends. We will continue with our Farman of August 31st, 1899. Please recite the Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadi wa ali Muhammad. દુનિયામાં ગમગીની લાવે એવી ચીજ ઇન્સાનને નહીં ખાવી જોઈએ. માણસ ખુશીથી અફીણ ખાય છે અને પોતાનું શરીર બગાડે છે. We had read that part that Mawla is guiding us that in this world, when the sorrows, trials, and tribulations affect a human, they go into things which helps them in this world to become unconscious of the worldly realities, the worldly life. And that's why Mom is saying that in the world, if you want to get away from whatever your feelings, due to whatever life tribulations are there, one uses, drugs or alcohol, whatever, nowadays we have very many types of things. In this time, Imam is referring to afeen only, opium. But Imam says that for some time, temporary, you will feel good, and then you do know that you are ruining your own body. તમારામાંથી ઘણા જણા વાજણતરામાં ખુશી મનાવે છે અને બજાવવામાં જિંદગી વેડફી નાખે છે. તે સારું નથી, હરામ છે. રસ્તામાંથી વાજા વાગતા નીકળે તે સંભળાઈ જાય તેને માટે અડચણ નથી, પણ ખાસ કરીને જોવા સાંભળવા નહીં જવું જોઈએ. હઝરત મૂસાના શરિયતમાં વાજુ શરાબ માફક હરામ છે. Now this is, I'm not sure if we had talked about it, but this is another important aspect that in some areas of where Imam's guidance are not read and understood. Some of Jama'ati member may think that music is not allowed, or it is, forbidden, because Imam says that do not be listening to that, do not spend your life in that. And if you were to pass by in a street and if you come to hear something, you can avoid that, so that's okay. But remember, this is in context of drinking alcohol, using drugs, and people becoming, at that time hippies and standing on the streets and not taking the worldly responsibilities. Today, when we see music is in itself a profession, and if you have heard Nachi's presentation on speech of Maulana Hazri Imam for music awards on global lectures, you would know that Hazri Imam loves music. Music is the food for our soul. But music to music, there is a difference. There is a music which is shaitani, and there is music which is, you know, kind of Sufi and kind of, healing our soul. And we are referring to our ginans, kalam, kasidas. When they are read with the music, it is Imam's, praises, guidance given to our peers, our Buzurgware Deen. And when we read their wordings with music, which is full of Imam's love and knowledge, that is food for our soul. Versus the music, which is, sang everywhere, hip hop or rap or whatever in today's time, pop music, those are not good for our soul. So please make sure that when our children take interest in music, it is a good thing. We do need to encourage them to learn musical instruments and learn to play music, but then guide them to the path of our deen and learning the music, the wordings of our ginans, kalam, kasida, and help them play music with those things. So they are singing ginans and kalams, but they are learning music as well. So there are, in every aspect of our life, there is good and bad. And it is up to us to focus on good and do not be deceived by shaitan, because what shaitan does takes everything good and makes it for his, benefit. So music is good for our soul, but music to music, there is a difference. જુવાનીમાં ઘણા માણસો અફીમ ખાય છે, તેથી તેઓનું શરીર સુકાઈ જાય છે. અફીમના નશાથી 2 કલાક 5 કલાક ખુશી લાગે છે, પણ હરામ છે, કારણ કે પૈગંબરે તેને હરામ કીધું છે. દીન ઇસ્લામમાં તે હરામ છે. So we understand that, youngsters, especially when they get influenced and they start, using these things. Even nowadays, we hear that in our students in colleges, there is an increase in death rate in students because they are being sold these medications, given these medications to try out. Sometimes it is actually to stay awake at night time so they can study more, and there are death rates because of these things. So we have to be very careful that, our children live in a very difficult time, and we have to give them this guidance from the very young age so they understand and do not accept the influence when it is exposed to them, right, in the worldly life, so they are able to fight it. ત્યારે વિચાર કરો રસૂલ કરીમે શું ફરમાવ્યું છે તે ઉપર ચાલો. Imam is clearly saying that we need to follow the guidance of our prophets. We need to follow the guidance of our prophets. Whatever he has said, we should not do which is forbidden. We should stay away from that. દુનિયામાં જે માણસ ઝના કરે છે તે હરામ છે. પૈગંબરના વખતમાં એવા શખ્સોને પહેલે વખત માર મારવામાં આવતો હતો, બીજી વખત સખત સજા કરવામાં આવતી હતી અને ત્રીજી વખત જીવતાર મારી નાખવામાં આવતા હતા. પૈગંબરના વખતમાં આ પ્રમાણે ચાલતું હતું. I remember we discussed this part, that how those who involve in unlawful sexual relations, how they were punished in the time of Prophet Muhammad. We had talked about Quranic words as well. જ્યારે ખુદાવંદ તાલા તમને જહન્નમમાં જવાનો હુકમ કરશે ત્યારે કેવી રીતે જાશો? જહન્નમમાંથી બહાર નીકળી જવા દરવાજો નથી. So we had talked about the concept of door, that Mola Ali is the door. And when we talk about protecting ourselves in this life, because whatever earning we get in this life, it is due to entering into the door of Imam, into the city of knowledge to protect ourselves from sinning and protecting our souls from going into hell, right? And we have talked about hell and heaven. And again, if friends have questions, we can definitely talk about it. But briefly, heaven is to stay with Imam, hell is to be away from Imam. પેગમ્બરે ફરમાવ્યું છે કે ઘણી બાબતો તમારા ઉપર લાજમ છે. એક મુખ્ય બાબત એ છે કે તમારા દીન ભાઈઓમાં એક દિલીથી ચાલો. પણ અહીંયા તો એકબીજાની ગીબત કરવામાં આવે છે. ગીબતમાં ઝના કરતાં વધારે ગુના છે. So backbiting is worse than having unlawful sexual relation, because the zana, which Imam talked about it earlier, that people are given lashes, and we had discussed last time through Quranic verses as well. What Imam is teaching us, that these lashes, which are given as punishment for sins which we see as a big sins. What we don't realize, that when we do backbiting, when we say anything behind back of anybody, it is like, it is more sinful than the sin of zina. And how many of us indulge in backbiting, consciously, unconsciously? So remember, those who are mu'mineen, most of the time it is unconscious, because they are trying to walk on the true path, they are trying to protect themselves, they don't want to sin. But when we do not check our pulse, when we don't, change our habits of backbiting, knowingly, unknowingly, we may get into these things, because shaitan is always with its deception with us, right? Remember, shaitan is always with us until we transform our carnal soul, nafse amara to nafse lawama. So the deception of the shaitan is always with us until we really, conquer and transform ourselves. So Imam is, guiding us that do not be indulging in these things without, realizing that what a big sin it is. દીન ભાઈઓમાં એકબીજામાં ફિતના નાખી લડાઈયું જગાવે તે કતલ કરતા વધારે ગુના ભરેલું છે. Now Imam first gives us example of zina, that how bad it is, that lashes are given. The punishment in Quran is to beat these people with lashes. But nobody looks at backbiting, right? It is done so comfortably, so easily, that we don't realize. Imam is teaching us that it is worse than getting this lashes. Kode marne se bhi bura guna hai. Can you imagine that? And then Imam says that there are people who create fitna. Fitna meaning, creating conflicts and problems, saying one person something else and the other person something else, and then letting them fight, and they enjoy the fight. They enjoy this chaos in the family or friends or Jama'at. When there are people who do that, of course they are themselves following shaitan's, insinuations. When they create fitna, Imam is saying that it is worse than, killing somebody. We do know, when we in Sharia, for killing someone, it is to be, killed. If you murder someone, it is punishment is to be, death. So in a same way, when somebody kills, we will have in the news or whatnot, and oh, this person is so bad, they murdered somebody. What a big sin. And the punishment is also is to kill them, right? Like they have to die. But nobody realizes that if someone indulges in fitna, dividing people, creating fights in Jama'at or families, this sin is worse than killing someone. Do we realize that? That how minutely these things are seen. When somebody kills, it's a big deal. But when there are fights and conflicts created in the families, it is like, it is not, considered as this big sin. So again, we have to realize that Uh, when we talk about this sinning, we have to realize that all these sins which we see day to day normally around us, they are sins, they are big sins like killing someone or, zina. An imam is guiding mu'minins that if you are following, desiring to follow the farmans of imam, you need to be careful and understand and do not categorize sinning. Oh, this is a small sin. That's exactly what is happening. Because imagine if you were to come to learn, oh, somebody killed somebody. What a big deal it is. But how about backbiting, or how about creating fitna or conflicts? Nobody will talk about those things. So Imam is teaching us, guiding us that, sin is sin. Do not say it is a small sin, so it will be ignored or forgiven, and this is a big sin, because in the worldly sense, these are not acceptable morally or, by law. Then we make a big deal out of it. For Mominin, sin is sin. And as a Momin, we need to become aware that how we ourselves get into sinning when we are not conscious. And that is why it is so important to be looking at our own self. How are we living? How are we following the farmans? And how are we being cruel to our own soul? That is the dua, zikr from Quran we read. Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa illam takfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunana min al khasirin. That it is truly we, that we become cruel to ourselves. How? Because when we don't have this knowledge, we say, oh, this is not a big deal. This is just to help them, guide them. Normally, backbiting, you know how it starts? Or if I don't tell them, about this person, they will be, deceived. So let me guide them. But what you are doing, you are backbiting about other person. You are not supposed to do that. Everybody has to have their own intellect, and they have to use their own will to assess and to decide and to do the right thing. Yes, you can guide them without backbiting. Then be conscious, there is no harm in guiding people, but by giving names and by talking about things, it is very, it is same as big sins which we are talking about here. So I hope that we understand why Imam is taking this pains to teach us. Do we not know? Do we not understand these things? But this is mercy and affection of Imam, that he goes in such detail to teach us that things which we do not consider as sinning are sins, and that takes us away from our Imam. તમારા દીની ભાઈઓની ગીબત કરવા માથે કરવાના માથા ફલના તમને હમણાં વિચાર કરતા નથી. Whatever backbiting we are doing, what benefit, what we are doing to ourselves, what we are earning fall, right now we don't realize it. પર અંતે તમને યાદ આવશે. In the hereafter we will know why we are away from Imam, and we will be able to recall. So, ante, why do we wait for the time when the accounts is taken, right? And Imam himself has taught us that every night we check our pulse, and that's how we remember that, session, that we need to be learning to check our pulse every night. So we are able to improve every day, become better person every day. તમારા અંગમાં પહેલે સુઈ મારી જુઓ. જો તમને ઈજા થાતી હોય તો બીજાને શા માટે મારો છો? Now this is so, Maula's mercy, that he gives us such a simple example, that if you take a needle and poke yourself, does it hurt you? If it does, why do you do it for others? So physically, we are not poking needles in others. But when we are using the words, negative words for somebody, it is as if we are, poking needles. We wouldn't do that to ourselves. So why would we do it for others? Mom says, don't do that. પહેલે પોતાના કર્તવ્ય વિચાર કરી જુઓ કે અમે કેવા ગુનાહ કર્યા છે, પછી બીજાઓના ગુનાહ તપાસો. This is another important thing, that we are very vocal and very expressive about what others are doing wrong. How about your own self? When you point fingers, it is told to us that when you point finger, you're pointing one finger to others and four fingers to yourself. Why do you do that? So Imam is saying that if it hurts, somebody pokes the needle, you poke your needle to yourself, it hurts. Why would you do it for others? So be very careful that you do not backbite. Protect yourself from these kind of sinning. તમારામાંથી ઘણા જણ રૂપિયા સાથ દઈને કહે છે કે ગુનાહ માફ કરો. તેમ ગુનાહ માફ થતા નથી. ભૂલમાં માલે વાજબાત ખવાઈ ગયો હોય તે છાંટા નાખવાથી માફ થાય, પરંતુ મોમિનના ગુનાહ કરશો તે માફ નહીં થાય. વેરી વેરી પાવરફુલ હિદાયત. It is so interesting that when we in this physical world, when we have earned money, we are comfortable, we go to not just majlis, which is compulsory chandrat, we enter into all higher mandli and we feel good about ourselves, that we are better people, we are more pious, and we are doing good. We give ourselves all those things to boost our own self. But when we look at the hidayat, those who are in knowledge, they become so humble because there is a reason. They become so conscious about their sinning because there is a reason. Because look at what Imam is saying, that there are people who would pay money, like, in Pyala, in Mehmani, in Tobo, whatever money they give. Remember, in this time, Jama'at was very poor. So Imam is giving example of 7 rupees. That you put 7 rupees and you ask for forgiveness of the sins. So Imam says that sins are not forgiven like that. Are you buying forgiveness? That's what Imam is saying. Are we buying forgiveness because we have money today? Forgiveness of sins cannot be bought. ભૂલમાં માલે વાજબાત ખવાઈ ગયું હોય. So Imam is now, guiding us that if unconsciously you have missed a part of the sont or sin unconsciously, the forgiveness is given to us when we unconsciously sin, get into backbiting or anything, any kind of sin unconsciously. And for moment, as soon as they realize, they stop doing that and they seek forgiveness. And remember, it is not the money which reaches the Imam. It is not, putting mehmani or putting money. It is not the money itself. It is what you're feeling in your heart, in your thoughts, how giryan you are, and how conscious you are about your sinning, and you intend not to repeat those sins. Those reaches the court of Imam. So Imam is saying that if you give 7 rupees and you ask for forgiveness, sins are not forgiven like that. And then, chata. Again, we have lectures on chata, and people have so many questions about chata, that this type of chata, that type of chata. Remember at that time when Jama'at, was not with so much of knowledge. Worldly education was not there. They did not have knowledge. So different chata and different things were there to help them get that satisfaction, that peace they sought from Jamaat Khana. But in reality, if you were to look at that, it's a symbol. What is the symbol? Putting water on our faces. Now that water, if you look at it physically, have we not washed our face with soap and water? Why do we need that sprinkles of water on our face? It is a reminder that our soul is full of, it has become black. We did talk about black, that the faces will be black and the faces will be white. And Quran also talk about it. So face being black, what does that mean? It is our soul which is being colored black. Soul is white and pure. And that symbolically sprinkle of water, it is as if that blackness is washed away. But how would that sprinkle of water will reach our soul and all the blackness will go away? How will that happen? Now we have to realize that again, chata is the symbol. Chata is the symbol, but it is what is in our heart and how much we are learning to not sin again. That what matters. Not that we run for chata or we put mehmani or whatever for our sinning, there is benefit. Do not undermine, because that is the realization. Because if somebody puts money and they have realization that they are sinning and they are seeking forgiveness, there is definitely a benefit, right? But remember why Imam is saying that sometimes when we do things mechanically, we have money, so we are putting money because we are trying to fit in with everybody. Everybody is putting in money, we are putting in money. But what is in the heart? That matters. So either you do tobo tobo every day, put money in Jamaat Khana, you go on in Majalis, you get chanta, but inside, if nothing has changed, there will be no benefit. If you are getting chanta and if there are no tears in your eyes, then what is the benefit? You are not seeking forgiveness, you are just mechanically doing, getting chanta, because all our life we have done this ritual and we are doing that again. What is the difference now when you are in the knowledge journey and you understand all this? When you understand all this, it should matter, it should be different from our, depths of the heart. We are going as if we are going in the presence of Imam, and this chanta is truly purifying our souls. And more than chanta should be tears, because we would be in realization by checking pulse every night that how much we are sinning. So all these things, matter when we have a knowledge to realize and to understand. Moment doesn't wait for the time of hereafter. Moment is taking care of his soul right now. શરાબ પી મસ્ત થઈને પોતાને દીવાનો બનાવે એવાને લાકડીઓ મારવામાં આવે ત્યારે તે ગુનાહ માફ થાય. હાલ લાકડીઓ મારવાનો જમાનો નથી, પરંતુ જમાતખાનામાં આવી તોબા કરે, બંદગી કરે, રાતના જાગરણ કરે, તસ્બીહ કાઢે, ઇબાદત કરે ત્યારે ખુદાવંદ તાલા ગુનાહ માફ કરે. How beautiful, right? Imam is so merciful. What a detailed Farman to teach us, to guide us. So, at that time, Imam is telling us that someone, they are drinking, alcohol, and they are, you know, becoming unconscious of the worldly life. And today is not the time that we will, punish those people because they are becoming na farman of the Pagambar, farman of the Imam. And today's time, because it's a fashion. Today, drinking has become a fashion. Today, if you want to make friends, if you want to become successful, you have to drink. Recently, a young man in business, he was sharing with me that how difficult it is that, because he doesn't drink, he's not involved in the decision making, gathering, which is all in bars, all drinking, and all smiley businessman. This kid is also smiley, and he's not involved because he doesn't drink, and he doesn't get promotion. Can you imagine that? So it is a difficult world. To be pious and walk on this path, it is difficult, because the shaitan has made the life such a way that if you don't drink, you don't have friends. Those who are not with knowledge and they seek these worldly friends, worldly things, they get into this situation, because every gathering there is a drinking. It's a fashion, you should drink, and if you don't drink, you're cast out. So it is a difficult world in today's time we live. That is why moments are very few, because it is just difficult in today's time. And Imam is teaching that this is not the time that hunter be lashes be given because you are becoming nafarman. But if you have realized your sin, what happens to these people when they grow older? Then they realize, but it is already late. When we are young and when we start this journey young in this knowledge, it may be difficult to live the worldly life. We may not have very many worldly friends, but we will have some good like-minded friends, and they will help us stay on the path. And then what we are learning, that Imam is teaching that whenever you realize that you have done something wrong, go to Jamaat Khana, seek forgiveness, do your tasbih, jagran, stay awake at night, do ibadat, do bandagi, and Imam will forgive your sins. So remedy for our sinning, for our soul, it is in zikr ibadat, in Jamaat Khana. We have to understand that there is no other path, and we will be forgiven our sins. But for that, we have to realize that we have sinned and we do not go into doing it again. તમારામાંથી કોઈ દીનભાઈની ગિલા કરે તે ગુનાહ કેમ માફ થાય? તેનો હાથ ચૂમીને અરજ કરે કે મેં તમારી ગિલા કરી છે, મને માફ કરો, અને તે માણસ માફ કરે તો માફ થાય. કોઈ માણસ જઈ બુઢીબાઈને દાગીના પૈસા અમાનત હોય તે પાછવી પડે તેનો ગુનો કેમ માફ થાય? તે પાછવી પડે તેનો ગુનો કેમ માફ થાય? આવા માલના પૈસામાંથી એક રોટલી લઈ ખાશો તો તે રોટલી કિયામતના દિવસે તમારા ગરદન પકડશે અને હિસાબ લેશે. So again, Imam is giving us hidayat that anybody who backbites, has indulged in backbiting, they need to go to those mu'minin and seek forgiveness. Kiss their hands, Imam says, and seek their forgiveness. And if they forgive you, then the sins are forgiven. Very difficult task. Can you imagine? It is a very difficult task. But Imam is guiding us that we need to do that. And then do not again, because why Imam is teaching us this? If we were to go in front of those who we have done the backbite, we've talked behind their back, and now we are ashamed of ourselves. Going to that person and telling them and seeking forgiveness will make us so embarrassed that we will again not be sinning. Meaning, Imam is teaching us that you need to really, be ashamed. Be ashamed that you have sinned. Become that strong in, embarrassing yourself that you remember that feeling of being ashamed so you don't repeat those sins. Very, very difficult task from a moment. But Imam is guiding us to do that. And in our tariqa, do we not know how beautiful it is that in every kushali, we can go to anybody and everybody and seek forgiveness. And they will forgive because it's a kushali way. So we have all these beautiful rituals in our Jama'at to help us. But in every kushali, we are repeating the same sins and doing the same thing. Then how the sins will be forgiven? So again, it is for us to reflect and learn. If we are not thinking carefully, then we need to be really paying attention and realizing that these sins which we are indulging ourselves in are going to speak against us. And then Imam gives us example. Imam is giving example that if someone had a amanat, an old lady, her jewels, her jewelry was kept amanat, she trusted with somebody, and what they did, they took away that money and used that money for their living. And Imam is saying that even if you ate one rotli, one chapati, one bread, it will come to life in Qiyamah. And that bread will speak against you. It will hold your neck and it will speak against you. Can you imagine that? In other words, Imam is teaching us that nothing is hidden from him. Everything we do, think, it is known to him. So we have to be very careful when we are sinning. There are times people think, oh, let me cheat and save this money or benefit in my business or profit. Who sees that? He is seeing it. He is seeing it very well. તમે દુનિયામાં બેઠા છો ત્યાં સુધી ઠીક છે. હરો છો, ફરો છો, ખાઓ છો, પીવો છો. અહીં તમને આરામ છે, પણ બીમાર થશો અને મરણ નજીક આવશે ત્યારે ખુદાને શું જવાબ આપશો? Again, Imam is reminding us so, I would say vividly, in the sense, virtually he's like, making us think, reflect that these words, have power in it, that we close our eyes and we think, imagine, That in this world we are roaming around, living happily, talking as if there is no tomorrow. We are all about today, living this life. But when we will become old, when we will become sick, and the time of the death will come near, then what are we going to answer him? A moment, it is beautiful in Quranic verse. It says that moment tastes the death. Moment has to taste the death. How can one taste the death? But the key is that we have to remind ourselves that we will die. In our young age, we have to remind ourselves that we may die tonight, we may die tomorrow. Let me take care of my accounts tonight. Let me not wait for Kushali, or let me not wait for my death time to ask for forgiveness. Let me do it right now. Be good, do good, and do not harm. All those things are applicable right now, today, this moment. We have to stay awake and realize. अगर जुआन माणस ख्याल करे કે મારા ઉપર મોત નથી પરંતુ તાવ બીમારી મરકી પડશે ત્યારે મરી જાશો. બાયડી વગેરે કાંઈ કામ આવશે નહીં. And Imam is giving us example that if there's a young man, he thinks that, oh, I will not die. Young, have strength in the body. I will not die. But what if there is a sickness comes, murky, I think it's a seizure, epilepsy. I think so, I'm not sure. Murky, bimari, tav, fever, any kind of, infection comes and you have sick symptoms. And what if you die? Your wife is not going to come with you. So remember, the wife is not physical wife only. It is the worldly life, the worldly wife, because the world is like a wife too, right? And if you indulge in this worldly life and don't remember Mola, then what will happen to us? Imam is saying that. જે મોમિન હશે તે મસ્તાના સિંહ જેવો હશે. Now this is a very, very powerful sentence of Farman. The momin is like a carefree lion. What does that mean? તેને કાંઈ પણ ધ્રસતી નથી. He is not scared of anything. તેનો રસ્તો સીધો અને આસાન છે. આવો મોમિન ગુજરી જાય તેને કાંઈ પરવા નથી. So, for a moment who is like a lion, who is not scared of anything, why did he become like a lion? Because he's following the easy and the straight path. Remember, straight path is easy. The path of deviation is difficult. Straight path is easy. Imam is saying it, so it is easy. But again, when we are into love of the wife of this world, then it is difficult. So Imam is teaching us very clearly that those who are mu'mineen, who follow this true path, for them, their life is simple and easy. And these mu'mineen live like a lion. They are not worried or scared of tomorrow. Because if they die today, they die the death of a lion, a brave death. Because they are not worried about their sins, because they are protecting themselves from sinning. They are seeking constant forgiveness for sins. આવો મોમિન ગુજરી જાય તેને કાંઈ પરવા નથી. A moment like that dies, he has no worry at all. તે આ દુનિયામાંથી છૂટ્યો તે આરામથી ચાલ્યો જશે. That moment from this world to that world will go very comfortable without any issues. હકીકતી મોમિને દુનિયામાં ફાયદો નથી. In this world, the true hakikati momin, there is no benefit in this world. Now, when Imam says that there is no benefit, we have to be very careful what Imam is saying. Dunya ma khushi nathi. Now, this Farman, again, sometimes Jama'at asks, should we not be happy in this world? And again, I would refer to the lectures of happiness. Imam wants us to be happy. Imam loves us to be smiling and be happy. Imam does not want us to be sick and in sad and sorrow. No, Imam doesn't want us. Our tariqa is a tariqa of happiness. However, we have to understand the happiness. If someone today, due to the influence of this world, says happiness is going to the bar, drinking alcohol with friends, laughing till midnight or even later, that is the true meaning of life. That is the happiness. That is the thing which I want, having money and being able to spend the money like that. Remember, this person who says like that, he has already lost his worldly life and spiritual life and is after temporary happiness. Temporary happiness. When Imam says happiness, it is the happiness like a lion, inside out happiness. No one, no trial, no tribulations, no worry can take away their happiness. Nobody can touch their peace and happiness. That happiness comes from their deep being. Hakikati Momin is always aware what he's doing. He's living a life which is simple, easy, and full of happiness, not the worldly things or worldly, indulgences, all these things we've been talking about. That is not a true happiness, right? અમે પોતે દુનિયામાં છીએ તે કેદખાનામાં છીએ એમ સમજીએ છીએ. મોમિન વાસ્તે મરવા બાદ જન્નત છે. Now, this is again very powerful hidayat. Imam says that when we are in this world, we are also in prison. Now, what is that prison? Believe it or not, the prison is our body, not our relation, not this world. Prison is our body because our soul, if you read Betul Khyal Farmans, the emphasis is given that we should be able to bring our souls out during the Bandagi time every night, not just one night, every night. Meaning we taste the experience of death by doing that. We are able to travel outside the limits of our body and enjoy this, spiritual realms and come back to our body. And moment who are those who are, reached at that level, they are able to do that, and they do that. There are those mu'minins in Jama'at who do that. So when Imam is saying that this I am also in prison, and people think, oh, this world is prison, these relations are prison, and all these duties are prison. Have you ever seen Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah being sad in the way? Like any he's always laughing and smiling, and he lived a full, vibrant life. He enjoyed doing everything. He was always happy. Why would he give us that kind of hidayat? Have we truly understood his hidayat? A mu'min is always happy. Remember that. But their happiness is nothing to do with the worldly happiness. There is a lot of misunderstanding in Jama'at, those who do not understand Giriya Uzari, when they don't know the knowledge of that. And that's why, one of the friends was sharing that in Jamaat Khana, this friend cannot withhold her tears. And, people may think, oh, probably she's going through some troubles. And what they don't understand, it is the tears of joy and love and happiness that I am understanding my Imam's hidayat, my Imam's love. And moments like that, when they continue on this path, they are able to get their souls out of their body. Because it is truly understanding our tariqa, our deen, and all what we have been learning in this knowledge to be able to actually bring our souls out of our body and enjoy, taste the death. And that kind of mu'mineen becomes those moments who are like lion. So when Imam says that I am in this prison, we have to realize that Imam is teaching us that when we live in this body and seek only the pleasures of this body, when we think that this body is the real thing, and all the relations, if you really think of it, if someone is a mother or a daughter or a wife or any relation, it is all to do with the body. As soon as the soul is out, the body is buried. So these are all worldly relations, worldly things. So when Imam is saying that he is in Qaid Khana, Imam is teaching us, reminding us that we have to take our soul out. And Imam, being the Imam, he is teaching us that I am waiting desperately for you to come to me. Not after death, while living. But when we live in this physical world, our body actually is in this prison of this world and worldly relations, which we have to fulfill with complete responsibility and with full happiness and joy, but not forgetting our Imam. That is the key. Remember the example in the Ginan what Pir gives, that kamal, the flower of a lotus, right? It stays in the kichar, it's in the, water which is not clear, which is not clean. But the lotus flower itself is so beautiful, shining, looking so pretty. So same thing, a moment lives in this world. Our Imam actually lives in this world. But we are able to see him as a perfect man, Insan-e-Kamil. And what does he do? He wants us to become one with him. So what is this saying? Kamilun fi zatihi mukammilun li ghairihi. That he is Kamil, Mola in his personality, he is complete. Kamilun fi zatihi mukammilun li ghairihi. But he can make us complete as well. And that's what Imam is teaching us. That when he says that he's in Kaid Khana, for us to remember that we are in this body and everything in this world is related to this body. All the responsibilities, all whatever we are facing in this world, all the sinning, everything is to do with the body. The reason we came to this world, the reason we were given this body, this breath, this time to be in this world, to earn, to use this time, to use this body to do the right deeds, to become the angels of Imam, to show it to others that how to live life in this world. When we remember that, we find this life beautiful. We are always in happiness and joy. And Imam is also pleased with these mu'mineen. So I hope that this Farman, when we are reading, we understand. Mu'min waste marwa baad jannat che. This marwa, so what is the ginan? Is sathe jo mar chale. There's a ginan which says that you have to die while living. There's a beautiful verse that while realization of all this knowledge, when you die, you'll be finding happiness. So, Marwabat, after not physical death, it is the death of the carnal soul. When we will kill our carnal soul, live in this physical world, become like a moment, like a lion, have no fear of tomorrow or death, having the soul pure white, then this world is Jannat and we are already dead. It does not matter physically we die today or tomorrow. It doesn't matter because we have reached within our being we have conquered the carnal soul. The carnal soul is dead already. So we have achieved that level where we have conquered, we have transformed the carnal soul. So it is no more nafse lava amara. Now we have nafse lavama, the censoring soul. And censoring soul constantly seeks to get to satisfied soul, this ruhe mutmainna, nafse mutmainna, the satisfied soul, the soul which is completely in satisfaction. That moment who is like a lion, how do they become like a lion? Because they reach to that stage that the physical body doesn't matter. So let us stop here. If friends have any questions or comments, then we'll start from here, inshallah. Ji.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. Wonderful session again, Niamat Saiba. A very powerful Farman, especially where Hazrat Maulana Sultan Shah talks about or tells us about controlling our carnal instincts, backbiting, and how easy it is for us to do that. And if we think in this world, backbiting is the main subject that people have to talk about, as such, yeah? So it's a very challenging requirement to stop backbiting. But as you mentioned last week, and we are sharing the lectures on the pulse checking, that is the only way we can actually help or learn in terms of where we're going wrong and how we can correct ourselves. Friends, if you have any questions or comments, please come forward.
These farmans are such that we all become, go into our own selves, assessing ourselves, because it is all we know already. And this is works like a reminder for ourselves, right? That are we doing this? How are we doing this? And how are we living our lives? So it is very powerful reminder. And of course, we need reminders. We need to repeat these lessons. And I love it that we are doing this repetition. We are reviewing what we have learned already. And our repetition sessions, Dars-e Mukarrar, repeat sessions, are based on actually reading these Faramins. And there are so many new concepts we learn, and there are so many reminders which are given to us. And we continue to have several reminders given to us again and again. And it is so amazing that we are reading these Farmans which are 100 plus years old, but they are so valid for us today, even that today even it is the same demons we are fighting, because it is all the carnal soul, you know um, taking us astray. And we have to work hard, very hard, to realize, to take this guidance into the depths of our heart, so we can follow these faramins. Because it is mercy of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah that he went into detail, he traveled so much, there are so many faramins according where Jamaat was, what was their status, he was teaching. And we are benefiting today from all these faramins from different locations actually. Look at Hazri Imam's Farman. Hazri Imam says, follow the ethics of Islam. And when Jamaat, when they read this Farman and they listen to this Farman, they don't even understand what is the ethics. This all are ethics, what we are learning right now. Actually, it is the, elaboration on the Farmans of Maulana Hazri Imam. Maulana Hazri Imam says that my Jamaat is educated, they have read this, they are capable of reading this. So Imam's expectations are that we will be reading, and Imam has said, read the primary sources. So we are truly following Hazri Imam's Farman. We are reading from the primary sources to remind ourselves how we are indulging in this, world, sinning, and how we need to be seeking forgiveness when we are taking chanta. What should be in our heart? In Kushalis, when we are seeking forgiveness, what is in our heart? All these things. Every day when we go to Jamaat Khana and we say, Tobo, Tobo, Taksirdar, Bando Sirta Pa Gunegar, Yasha Tu Guna, Bakshan, Bakshan Har. We are seeking forgiveness from head to toe. Are we truly meaning when we are saying that Ya Mawla, forgive my sins because I am sinful from head to toe? And then this beautiful zikr, right? We are learning in the evening session this beautiful zikr. Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa illam takfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunana min al khasirin. That khasir, we are the ones who have, harmed ourselves. We are at loss. These are all powerful reminders, and we go into deep thoughts of looking into our beings. This is exactly what the pulse check is. This hidayat, we have to recall when we go to bed and remind ourselves, what did I do? And if you truly ask me, when we sit for evening prayers in Jamaat Khana, when we are going for the, duashes in Jamaat Khana, we have to ask ourselves, we have to actually pulse check and then go for Tobo Tobo. There'll be tears in our eyes when we are saying Tobo Tobo Taksirdar Bandu Sirta Pagunira. Why will we have tears? Because we will be in realization that, oh my goodness, I have sinned so much and I was trying not to do that. Right? And then again we repeat this practice because it is the Farman of Imam. When we are going to bed, we have some, strength left in us. Should go to bed when we are still awake, not about to pass out. We do say our tasbih and we check pulse and we ask for forgiveness from Imam. We say this zikr ke Rabbana zalamna anfusana وَإِلَّمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَا مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. That you are the, Rahman, Rahim. I am the one who's been doing zulm, cruelty to my soul. Please forgive me. You are the forgiver of the sins. And then we do zikr and go to bed. And that sleep will become also ibadah, because we are seeking forgiveness and doing zikr. So I understand if we have no questions, no comments, it is because of this that we go into this deep thought. And for us, it is to remember that this deep thinking, reflection is required every day from us, not just when we are reminded.
We have a question in the chat from Anila Saiba. Says, thank you, Niamat Saiba, for such a wonderful session. These kind of reminders are always needed. My concern is, how do we understand backbiting when talking about political conditions of a country or a specific political party?
So, very valid question, very current question. You are talking about the, responsibility. I wonder if you heard the Chandrat article this time in Jamaat Khana, and I was pleased because in article they are teaching in Jamaat what is the civic duty. And you know what they said? That we have to follow the ethics of Islam to choose the political leaders, right? It's going to be voting time. It's, US elections are coming near, so I understand. And there's a big ho-ha about it. And we were given guidance that we need to evaluate the person who's going to lead our country where we live, has to be ethical. So yes, we have to be able to discuss political things. It is not backbiting, because you are discussing this, political situations and their, what they've done in the past and whatnot. But there is a limit to it. We know what has been done by this political uh, nominee and then other nominee, and there are debates going on, so many discussion, like news is all about it. So we do know very clearly how long we continue to use our time to repeat the same thing again and again and again. Remember, news people, they're making money by making news. So yes, there has to be a discussion, because we need to be able to choose the right leader. But the key here would be, it's not a backbiting, because I'll give you another example so you understand. At work, when you are if you are employed, let's say if you are a boss, you need to know about your employees to be able to promote them or give them raise. So evaluations are done, peer evaluations are done, and all those are, as if, one may think that, are we backbiting? But it is not backbiting, because it is performance evaluation, how people are performing at their work. And it is a part of the work, and it has to be done, because there is, progress involved in that. So we have to clearly understand, backbiting is not serving any benefit. It is just for the sake of doing it. And when you are in the context of, political decision making, or at work decision making, you do it once and it is done. It is done. When it becomes sinning, it's again and again we are repeating the same tape, even if it is political, discussion. Do we not know, once you have done that, probably twice or thrice, if some new person is there and we are discussing, but we can constantly continue to repeat same thing, we are using our valuable time in that, same things. It's very clear. If it is clear, decision has been made, then we just have to wait for the voting time and be done with it, right? But then again, why this news and debates? It's all the process of politics, which constantly goes on, and there are people who do need, that much of education to help them, guide them to choose the right, elect the right people. But I loved it in Jamaat Khana. It was very beautifully about, talking about ethics of Islam. Jamaat was told that it is our civic duty to vote, and we should follow the ethics of Islam in choosing the leader. And that is it. Wonderful, beautiful. So I hope I have answered your question, Anila.
We have a comment from sorry. We have a comment from Salma Saiba regarding this. She says they should read Hazrat Ali's letter to Malik al-Asta on leadership.
That was also mentioned in that article. So thank you for reminding me, Salma. In Chandrat article, they also mentioned Maula Ali's letter to Malik Ushtar, which is in a book by Rashida Hunzai Sahiba in her book Hazrat Ali in English. It is in Najul Balaga in Urdu, and it is in English as well, translated for us in that book. So anyone who would like to know, like they have in families, they're discussing politics a lot, I would recommend them to read that letter of Mola Ali and have discussion on that and then evaluate the speaker. So you know what? You're reading Mola Ali's guidance and you're learning as well as you're assessing. So you're guiding in a very beautiful way, keeping the interest of politics, but you're reading about Mola Ali's guidance. How wonderful that is. Thank you, Salma, for reminding that.
Zara Saiba would like to ask a question.
Ji Zara.
Yeah, Ali Madad.
Ali Madad.
So you did answer partially my question because, of course, I run a business and I have employees, and people do come across to me and tell me their experiences from one person to the other, and I feel like I have to listen up to them when they are coming to me. And this is not one; there are 150 employees under me. It's very difficult to um, not hear, but still know that, hey, sometimes they're just talking ill about another person, and I can match them that moment, but I feel I tend to become rude then, which is a conscious feeling that I don't want to talk like this, but we need to stop here. How do I handle situations which I consciously feel that it's not right how I talk to them in the end, because it becomes like, hey, let's just match here and let's move on in life, right? We need to, and then sometimes I take them out of the store because I feel like, hey, they're not somebody who are gonna help me with my own awareness at this point.
Good question.
They lose their jobs and I feel like mere wajah se ho raha hai, but I know their energy is so depleting sometimes that I don't want them around me and my people who work for me. How do I handle this?
Very good question, Zara. Very good question indeed. So you are very right that you have to listen, and then it becomes a kind of uh, information for you to know how your employees are and guide them, and teach them to be behaving right. But on the other hand, when you are aware that it is wrong, and one way to deal with that, if a person A comes about person B and they are complaining that this B did this to me, you simply tell A, B did that to you, right? Why don't you go and tell B? Let them talk to the primary person. Let them talk to the primary person. And if they say they can't or they don't have time, set up a time, talk to A and B and let them discuss.
Okay.
So sometimes it is very easy because communication at work environment, sometimes people come to work with their own baggage and they misunderstand things, and people just have to communicate. So it is important not to become the part of it. You have a problem with, there's a problem for A with the person B. Why don't you deal with it? Do not bother me. If it becomes a performance issue, then I will enter into it.
Right.
So you have to, this is one way. Even in kids, we have to teach this habit, that do not indulge into backbiting and going to others. Have you talked to that person? And you would realize, if you know more about communication skills, most of the times it is misunderstood communication, because people, it's just miscommunication. So when they talk and people are adult, and if they are mature, they'll be able to discuss it, and they may come out hugging each other because they got to work with each other, right?
Right.
And you're right, the way that sometimes it does result in firing people because their energies are so wrong, because there are people who have tendency to create problems. So you educate them, warn them once, give them fair chance twice, give them warning thrice, and if they don't show improvement, then you as an employer have a right after 3 warnings, you have to say goodbye to them. So you are being ethical. You are not taking away their jobs. If they listen to you, if they improve their behavior, they remain working.
Right. Got it. Thank you so much.
Earlier on in the chat, there was Salma Saiba gave she put in the chat about a Ginan. If you want to read that, I'm sure if I try to read it, I will butcher it.
Ginan, let's see.
It's right at the top, yeah?
Yeah. Gur ginane je mare, so markar pave amra makam. Gur ginane. Remember, I was telling you that, you know, when you, there's a ginan that you die during your lifetime. And so this is the ginan which says that when you die during your lifetime, you kill your carnal soul. So markar pave amra makam. That they become amra, they become ever living because they've already become one with the Imam during their lifetime. There is another Ginan which I remember now, Abdu. There's a last verse in which Pir says, there's a beautiful Ginan in Abdu. The last verse said, Avaratha janam na pave, Abdu, Avaratha janam na pave. That, you know, if you become one with Imam during their lifetime, if you follow the Hidayat, you will not have other lives. And people, of course, misunderstand sometimes, you know, going into reincarnation concept of Hindu. Avaratha janam na paye abdu, meaning that during your lifetime, you are able to become one with the Imam. There is no need, you know, of avaratha janam if you take the benefit of this lifetime to become one with the Imam. It is all to do with our lifetime, this world, this life. It's a precious time on this planet Earth, and we have to make full use of our lifetime to become one with the Imam, to kill the carnal soul. Thank you for sharing that, Farman Salma. Or Ginan, thank you.
And we have a friend asking, in which surah is backbiting mentioned?
So let me share, inshallah, in the next class, Quranic verses, so we can discuss it as well, so friends can benefit. All right?
Yeah. Friends, any other last questions, comments before we close the session?
iPhone is raising hand. Yes, iPhone.
Nilofer, yeah, I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
raising hand. The backbiting actually is he's saying something not true is backbiting. If it's the truth you're talking about, it's not backbiting.
Very important point, Nilofer, very important point. So let's clarify that too. Okay, very important point. Let's say, there is a funny example which came to my mind, but let me give you a negative example. The truth is that there is a person who has tendency to create fitna, right? This person has a very negative energy, and they always do negative. And there's a new, you know, worker comes in the work. Let's take the example, keeping it vague and simple so we can understand. And you are telling this new employee joining, oh, be careful from this person. You know, this person is fitnabaz. They always create fights and they always, you know, create problems. So stay away from them. You are telling the truth. But believe it or not, it is not your job. Who made you God? Think like that. I'm going to challenge Nilofer, not to offend you, my dear, but just understand. Who made you God to tell other person that this is the truth, that this person is fitnabaz? Who made us God? Hear me out. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. So, you know, we have to think like that. If you want to help somebody when it is, you know, things are not appropriate around us, You can tell them that you need to be careful, please watch your back. That's how we say it. Let me give that funny example and you will understand, right? That do you know that friend who lives in other Jamaat Khana? And this friend says, which one? Oh, she's so fat. She's so big, you cannot miss her. Did I not say the truth that this woman is very big, fat? But would you say it like that? And
No.
if it is a truth, if it is a truth, the thing which is about with the truth is that truth should not be hidden. Truth should be told anywhere with anybody, right? So the way I said, tell A person to tell the B that, you know, for example, B, you are really fat and you are giving me trouble. Can anybody say that to anybody else like that? It is considered impolite. It is considered impolite to be telling anybody about, you know, body judgment. People are people and they are different shapes and sizes. So I'm taking the example of shape because it is, you know, common nowadays. It is being taught everywhere that we have, you know, different sizes of people and we do not need to judge people in any ways because they are diseases. So what I'm saying through this, you know, funny example or different example to help us understand, even if it is a truth, even if it is the truth, we do not talk like that. We can give example. And this example, what I did just now, watch your back. We can give example from history or from different events to educate, but we are not supposed to tell anybody the truth by the name. We are not supposed to do that because that is judgment. If it is not gossip, then it is a judgment. You are passing judgment. You are taking away that opportunity from that person who may change themselves. So let's say this person who always does fitna, and you are telling this person B that stay away from this person C. But guess what? This person C had gone through some experience and now they're trying to change themselves and they want to have a new start with the new people. So they don't behave like that with new people. We took that opportunity away from them. So, in other words, what I'm saying, even if it is the truth, we can caution people, but we cannot name anybody and tell anybody that this is this person and this is how they are doing, because we may indulge into backbiting and the savings we have done for our own soul may be lost. So we need to become very careful, because if we are saying it is the truth, then we become self-righteous. Oh, I don't lie, I only speak the truth. But your truth is tainted. Your truth is judgment of others. Do not do that. So different examples, different scenarios, we have to use our intellect and be able to communicate how we need to communicate to help the person in front of us and not indulge in backbiting. It is very important not to have self-righteous attitude. When we think we are telling the truth, we have this self-righteous attitude, which is not appreciated. In Quran, it is not liked. So we have to understand, because self-righteous attitude becomes about me and my truth, my thing. It is I who am always right. So I hope, Nilofer, with these different examples, I'm explaining myself that, scenario to scenario, example to example, things may be different and we have to be careful. It is not
Yes,
about the others, right, Nilofer?
I
It is
agree with
about
you.
us. Mhm.
I agree totally with you. But also, it is said in the Ginans and in the Quran that you don't speak until you are asked about something. So,
Very
until and
good point.
unless you don't, somebody asks you, then you don't have to give any judgment or any comments, compliments, or anything. Compliments, yes, but no comments or judgment.
Yes, yes. So when somebody asks you, literally, even then, you can be, there is a saying that you can say things wisdomfully, right? You can say things wisdomfully. Imagine, I have to look into the example, Nilofer, and get back to you. When somebody asks us that what do I do, for example, let's take the worldly example because we had that example of business. Somebody is trying to start a business with somebody else, and this person, they have always cheated, and we know about this person who has always cheated, right? And this person who's new and wants to start, and they're asking you, what do you think about this person? Can I start business with him? Because he likes to do the business, invest and start business with me. And you can say, I have not had any business, but I have heard different things, but I have not verified it, and I would caution you to talk to people who this person had the businesses with. So you ask from the primary person, the first person who was involved, to know the real story. Because I have heard things, I have no means of verifying if it is truth or not. And if you are that person who had the business with that person, you can say, I separated with him because I did not like his ways and of doing things. I did not find it ethical. And they ask, what was not ethical? I would say you need to learn about ethics of Islam or Farmans, because our ethics are clear. According to my knowledge of ethics, I felt uncomfortable doing business with him. And if they even continue to poke, I would say, tell them about learning about ethics. Protect yourself. Keep your own self-worth and self-reliance, in the sense that try and tell them that you need to be able to find out for yourself, do verify, assess for yourself. And in that, if you have to say very limited few things, that ethics is not lying, ethics are not cheating. These are some of the ethics, I am aware of, and I would like in my business to be maintained. You said it, but you didn't say it. Do you follow what I'm saying, Nilofer?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much. Absolutely correct. And there's one more thing I wanted to clarify was about the lotus flower, that you had given example. It was a very beautiful example. It's like, in a pond, it's full of dirt, and lotus they grow only in dirty water. So the dirty water is compared to this world, which is full of dirt and full of lies and kapat that you say in Ginans. And your soul is compared to the lotus, that in spite of living in this world, your soul should be such that it should always remain pure, or you should remain always pure, like the Kamal, who is always in the dirty water, and yet that dirty water cannot touch you.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. Thank you, Nilofer. That was beautiful. Thank you for elaborating on that example. Thank you. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, friends. I think Niamat Saiba, it's quite late now. So thank you, Niamat Saiba, for a wonderful session. Thank you, friends, for joining. And inshallah, next week we'll continue with Farman 40. Thank you, and
friends. Yali Madad, Yali Madad. We had wonderful discussion, alhamdulillah. Yali Madad, Yali Madad.
Thank you so much, Yali Madad.
Yali Madad, Yali Madad.
Thank you, Yali Madad.
Thank you, Yali
Yali
Madad.
Madad, Yali Madad, ma, Yali.